Welcome back, Shalligators. Well, we've got some very interesting relationship news going on. Kourtney Kardashian is apparently dating Blink-182 drummer Travis Barker. Huh. Really? Okay. This pairing makes not a ton of sense to me, and I know you guys had the same feeling, like, interesting. I mean, he's like her age-ish, so like that sort of makes sense. He's also got kids, which clearly Kourtney does too. He had an on and off situation with his ex-wife and baby mama, just like Kourtney did with Scott Disick forever. But are these two really compatible? We're going to break down the 4 components of compatibility. The 4 things you need in a relationship to build a long, happy, healthy relationship, the 4 green flags. And therefore, we're going to answer the question, do opposites really attract? We hear about it all the time. There's even a Paula Abdul song about it. But is it true? We'll get into it. But before we do, just want to remind you guys to follow me on Instagram. You suggested this topic. I love to connect with you there. You can also go there and request songs for my new radio show. XO Radio is on every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, only on the Station Head app. It's free to download, free to listen to. If you don't want to download the app, you can just go to the website and search Shallon XO, and my radio show will pop up. This episode, we are breaking down my favorite breakup songs. Last week, and can I just brag? Last week was our debut episode, and we charted at number 3, baby. Number 3, and there's a lot of shows on there. I mean, did we beat out Diplo? I don't know. I don't know. Who can say? We did. So last week we broke down Taylor Swift songs. This week we're going to be talking breakup tunes. So definitely go to my Instagram right now. I'm letting you guys suggest your favorite breakup tunes. We're going to add them to the playlist and talk about them and the life lessons we can get. Also, if you would like a little bit more intimate connection with me, head on over to my blog, Eat, Pray, Love. You can subscribe for like 2 to 3 posts a week. Some are going to be funny. Some are going to be like really raw and emotional. And part of the reason we're talking about breakup songs is because Vince and I broke up, and I'm going to be talking about that on the blog. I don't really want to talk about it in a video. I don't know. I just feel like sometimes writing your emotions is a bit more helpful. So I'll be talking about that this weekend. I'm going to be seeing him, and I just want to make sure that it's okay with him, because, you know, these relationships, they're not just your story to tell. Like, there's a reason I don't go into like the details of my marriage. It's not my story. And I have chosen this very public life. The people I date haven't. So I try to be respectful about things and go about it in a respectful way. But let's talk Kourtney and Travis. Have you ever heard Travis talk? He's an odd duck. Drummers are very odd ducks. Do you know any drummers? I know a lot. And I know like famous drummers, like Grammy-winning drummers, and they are very weird. They're weird. I mean, they're interesting, and like the way their mind works is fascinating because they're very mathematical. They're almost like engineers. Like engineers are very like straight edge. Engineers end up having heart attacks. Like they don't live very long because they're so tightly wound. But if you think about a drummer, like da 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 da, to spend hours in your garage like doing that with like no melody, no song, just like da 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 da. It's like lifeguards. I feel like you either have to be very dumb or very smart to be a lifeguard, because you have to be okay inside your own mind and just something that's very repetitive. So drummers they're interesting. They're not like they don't mesh great with my personality, but a lot of people they do. But yeah, have you heard him speak? He has a really high voice and kind of a lisp. He's like, you know, I just really like my video games and my music and my drums and my skateboard. And like, cool. He's like that weird punky music kid in middle school. And Kourtney doesn't seem that way. First of all, I could never date somebody who poses like this. Can you imagine? It's like, honey, say cheese. Smile, it's prom. Like his head is always back. His eyes are wide open. I'm like, is an alien beaming you up? What is this face? What is this face? What face are you making? I mean, is he trying to show off the neck tattoo? Like, I get that, but you've had it for like 15 years. Like, we see it. We all see it. You can just like pose 3/4 angle, like, So apparently these two have been friends for a long time, and like the chemistry's off the charts, and they've been friends, and now it's transitioned into something more. Do you guys want a video on that? Because friends to lovers is, I think, it's like the hardest transition and yet the most logical transition, but it's a tricky one. I don't even know if I'm qualified to speak on it because I have guy friends, but I've kind of hooked up with most of them, at least to like get it out of the way. And it's like, all right, now we can be friends. I'm the curiosity is satisfied. We can like move forward. Anyway, so apparently things have like transitioned into something romantic. Let's hear what some sources have to say. So Travis is 45, Kourtney is 41. Smoke, such a smoke. They both have like several kids. Like I said, they've both been on and off with their exes, but like are now on good terms. And yeah, they've been friends for years. And he said in 2019, like, I love her like family. She's a dear friend, but that's it. I love her to death. I love her family to death, but yeah, just friends. So the reason they're sparking all these rumors is because they were both in Palm Springs at Kris Jenner's house, like taking pictures by the pool. And I mean, on one hand, if you are friends, like, well, friends hang out. That's kind of what they do. But I do think it's interesting that it would turn romantic now. So let's talk about Travis's dating history because it's very bizarre. It's just not what you would think. Like, anyway, so his baby mama is Shauna Mokler. She was Miss USA. Dated her. They were married for 4 years, broke up on and off. He also dated Paris Hilton. Then he was like obsessed with, wait a minute, Lindsay Lohan. I know, are you not just going to get herpes listening to this list? Then it was, I've heard Tara Reid he was also hooking up with. Rita Ora. Don't even fucking get me started on Rita Ora. She sleeps with everyone. She is such a social climber. I mean, be a slut, do whatever you want. But it seems like she targets famous men. It's not like, it's never an accident who she dates. Whatever. She just rubs me so the wrong way. I've been at so many parties with her and she just, if you asked her like, hey, who are you reincarnated as? Like who? She'd be like Nelson Mandela, Alexander the Great, Ella Fitzgerald. I mean, she just has the highest opinion of herself ever. Whatever. Back to Kourtney and Travis. So the question is, what? So do opposites really attract? We like to think that they do, right? I mean, there's that phrase, opposites attract, but do they? Think about your friends. Are your friends more like you or are they more different? Now, when we think of differences, we want to focus on things like how someone dresses, what kind of music they listen to, do they have tattoos on their neck and they pose like this? But that is true if those things are indicative of larger life patterns and behavioral patterns. So like I said, think about your friends. Are your friends more like you or not? I am a career woman, obviously. I don't have kids. I'm not married. And it is not likely that I'm going to find a BFF, someone who truly understands me and can not just sympathize with things that I'm going through, but empathize with what I'm going through, with someone who got married at 18, never had a job, is super religious, is a stay-at-home mom. There's nothing wrong with that, but friendships are Venn diagrams, right? There's parts that overlap, and there's not a lot of overlapping there. I fundamentally can't understand how someone like that spends their day. They can't understand how I spend my day. So just little things like that. It's like, what did you do today? It's like, play date. She's going to be like, Instagram. It's going to be hard to find that common ground. Little things such as the way someone eats or if they drink. I don't really have like teetotal, sober, vegan friends. I'm a meat-eating, alcohol-drinking, red-blooded American girl. And so I gravitate towards people like that because our biorhythms are the same. But we'll break this down a little bit more granularly, because there are 4 key components to compatibility. 4 green flags, as opposed to red flags, that you need to look for either in romantic relationships or even friendships that are going to create the longest lasting relationships with the solidest, most solid foundation. Ready? 1, worldview. Number 2, recreation. Number 3, sex. You can discount that if we're talking friends. And number 4, basic temperament. Let's go through the list. Worldview. How many bleeding heart liberal Bernie bros do you know that are friends with staunch Trumpers? Not that many. And if they are, it's like they might be situational friends. Well, we're co-workers, right? Or we're party friends. We can like go out to the bars together, but if we're getting into a deep discussion, we can't do that. And if we're being honest, I don't respect that person as much as I would if they believed the way I did, right? And that's a two-way street. That goes 2 ways. If you look at this in terms of romantic relationships, that is not just a little, oh, we can just steer clear of that. It is a huge, huge thing because it taps into how we move through the world. Your basic worldview, your political view, your environmental view, whether you're a vegan, whether you're a hunter, this is going to speak to larger things like, how do I raise kids? How do I interact with people? What is my tolerance level? What do I think of people who are not like me? What do I think of people who are like me? Money. Do we spend our money the same way? Love is not two people looking at each other. Love is two people looking out in the same direction. And if your worldview is fundamentally different, I love to travel and experience new cultures and new foods. I want to stay in my small town forever. I don't even want to vacation someplace else. This is going to create a lot of resentment in the long run. Because when you think about it, what are relationships? Conversation? That is, if you boil down a relationship of any kind, it comes down to conversation. Who wants to have conversations for the long haul with people who fundamentally disagree with you? I don't want that. Here's the thing with human beings. We are, at our core, narcissistic. We want to see mirrors of ourselves. Why? Confirmation bias. We have held beliefs about ourselves, right? I like to travel. The world is meant to be explored. I love other cultures. Okay, that's a fundamental belief I have about myself. And that's how I fundamentally move through the world. I don't want to be around someone who is butting up against that idea. Well, why would you want to go to Europe? Ew, Africa, what's cool to see there? I don't want to eat that. I only eat chicky tendies. That shit gets old. That gets old. It gets old because humans want their beliefs validated. We are ego-driven creatures. I want someone who's like, you know what? That's amazing you like to travel. I like to travel too. We should plan a trip to Monaco. We should go to Nigeria. It's like, you know how we feel? We feel validated. When we meet someone who is like us, who is a mirror image of certain qualities and behaviors, we're like, aha, I'm doing something right. We have someone confirming our bias. Bias is not a bad thing. It's a bias as in an opinion. It's the way that you skew on a topic one way or the other. It's not right or it's not wrong. So we want people who validate that and mirror it back to us because above everything else, humans do not want to feel crazy. And this is why every human on earth, if we ask them, well, what kind of relationship, what kind of dating relationship you want? They'll say, partner who's supportive, smart, communicative. And yet you will look at those people who are dating a garbage person, an absolute sewer trash panda, and you'd be like, what? It's because they might say they want one thing, but their confirmation bias says another. They feel like a garbage trash panda. So they want someone who's going to validate that so they don't feel crazy. We would rather feel right than happy. But look, this isn't destiny. We can override this by being a little bit more cognitive than the next person. Be like, no, I'm going to work out the issues that are making me gravitate towards trash pandas. And then I'm going to be able to gravitate towards shalligators and alphas, right? But it does take that work. And a lot of people, you know what? They don't want to fucking do the work. They just don't. And you can see these people in the comment section of this video. You can see them. And if you see them, drop a shrimp emoji. I think there's nothing so patronizing as a shrimp emoji. My love language is like mozzarella sticks of revenge. My hate language is shrimp emojis. But it's true. It's like, oh, okay. Beep, boop, boop, boop. Not everyone can do that work. Let's move on. Number 2, recreation. Recreation. Think about how you like to spend a Saturday morning. Are you up at 6? We're going on a hike. We're going skiing. We're cleaning the house. Ba, ba, ba. Do you laze in bed till 10? We're reading the paper. We're scrolling through Instagram. Maybe have some mimosas. If you are on one end and you've dated someone on the other, you know that that is an act of war. There is nothing more frustrating than being around someone who wants to do activities you don't, or vice versa. Have you ever traveled with your friends? I almost went on vacation with one of my friends one time, my friend Jen. We were going to go, I think, to Belize or something. And we were planning it. And she's like, yeah, we can go ziplining and hiking and look at the ruins. And I was like, or we could lay on the beach and have some cocktails. I'm a very different recreator. And we called the trip off because I'm like, we're actually going to be we're both going to be miserable on this trip, because no matter what we do, it's something the other person doesn't want to be doing. And that's okay. It's different strokes for different folks. Who cares? But it's important to walk in the light of that truth and not think, I can change them. She'll be fine on the beach. She'll be fine on a hike. No, I'm an adult. I know what I like. All of these things are not about rigidity. It's not like, well, this is what I like. But we like what we like at the end of the day. And I have a lot of room in my life for new experiences. I mean, I moved to fucking Montana, okay? Clearly, I am more malleable than I am rigid. And yet, though, I kind of know myself. I'll go camping for one night if I have to. I'm not going camping for an entire week. I'm not hiking up the backcountry to go skiing. I'll go skiing for a few hours. I'll take the lift and then I will be apres-ing in the lodge. But that's okay, and that's me. I don't want to date someone or even really be friends with someone who is constantly pushing me in a direction that, when I'm listening to my intuition, I don't actually want to go. Not to the degree they do, not for the duration that they do. Like I said, I'll ski for a few hours. I'm not skiing for a week. I'll cross country ski across a lake to a bar. I'm not going to like backcountry it and break my fucking ankles. This is me, okay? I'll listen to one of these Megadeth songs that you like. I'm not listening to a whole playlist as we drive to Wyoming. It's not happening. So recreation is extremely important because, yeah, relationships, they are conversation, but they're also activity. And what is the activity we focus on the most? Sex. Someone who's very sexually adventurous, wants creative sex several times a week, probably isn't going to be psyched in the long run for someone who's very conservative, not comfortable with their body, into that missionary quiet position sex. Like, that gets old real quick. So if you're opposites in that category, good luck. Chemistry is not compatibility, and chemistry also does not last that long when you think about it. It's interesting. Like, one of my friends said one time, she's like, love is actually about 15% of what it takes to make a relationship work. It's the glue that holds you together. It's the lube that makes the gears work, but that's kind of it. It's the thing that makes you tolerate someone, right? When you look at actual long-lasting partnerships, you have commonality worldviews. They recreate in the same way. Their sexual proclivities line up. And the very last point, basic temperament. Basic temperament. Prepare to be shocked. You might have to walk around the room with your hands over your head trying to catch your breath after I say this, but I am an extrovert, right? For me to date introverts, it's fucking exhausting. It's the reason many of my relationships ended, because introverts are very drawn to me. It's like, oh, she's everything that I'm a hurt locker in that way. And yet, but that puts on a huge burden for me. It's like, I don't want to be the one-man party here. I don't want to always be babysitting you at every social interaction. Oh, well, he does this. Why don't you tell him about this thing? I would like someone who's matching my energy in terms of socialization. It's more exhausting when I date someone who's an introvert, because now I'm doing the work for two people, right? And conversely, they start out liking that about me, but then it's like, what do you mean you're going out with your friends again? Well, why do you have to wear something so flashy to this dive bar? It's like, you liked this about me in the beginning. The things people like about you become the things that they hate. And this is when we butt up against that opposites attract thing. Because if we don't feel like we have those fundamental commonalities with someone, worldview, recreation, sex, and basic temperament, we start to feel very lonely and isolated, and then we start to get resentful. If we're a passive person and we're dating someone assertive, we start to feel used and abused and taken advantage of. Vice versa. If I'm dating someone passive, I start to tear my hair out that they can't just communicate what they want, take a position, and take some of the emotional labor off of my back and do it themselves. They're like, I don't know. I'm like, am I in this relationship by myself? So when we look at Travis and Kourtney, I think we know more about Kourtney's personality than Travis's, and I'm like, fine not knowing that much about his personality. Like, I'm fine. But Kourtney seems assertive, right? Extroverted, probably sexually adventurous. We know her worldviews and like her political leanings in the basic, you know? Travis, I don't know. They might have exactly the same foundation. They might be moving through the world in precisely the same way. We don't know. But because they come in these wildly different shells, it's easy to say, well, they're complete opposites. But maybe they are. Like I said, all those tattoos and stuff like that, like tattoos are not just cosmetic adornments. They're not like hoop earrings. They can speak to a fundamentally different way of looking at the world. They don't want to be mainstream. They want to be on the outside. They want the world to know they're not mainstream. Kourtney wants to be very mainstream. Look what she does for a living. So in that sense, to be dating someone who's kind of a contrarian, you have to be so like basic and you're pandering to these people. It's like, get the fuck out of here. And he might look at her the same way. So we don't know. But you in your life, you have to know where you stand on worldviews, sex, recreation, basic temperament, to know thyself. When we think opposites attract, what we actually mean is, I am a blank slate. Please ride on me. I will gladly take on all the traits of your personality because I'm either afraid of my own, I don't have any because I haven't done any sort of diversification in my life. I just go to school, I go to work, I come home, I don't learn, I don't grow, I don't challenge myself. Or I do have traits in my personality, but I don't like them. I don't feel like they're worthy, valid, interesting. I've been told that. So I'm going to suppress myself and just let you fill in the blanks. So that's fine that you're the captain of the football team and I'm the emo chick, or vice versa. That's a fine that you're the career guy and I'm just spinning my wheels working at Cinnabon. That's fine that you're a Trumper and I don't really know anything about politics because I don't think I'm smart enough to know. That gets real old real quick. And that's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is you get looped in with someone who is potentially toxic or abusive or just plain controlling. They don't want someone with any sort of contrary opinion. And I mean this on the micro, like she likes sushi and I don't. Or on the macro, I am trying to save the environment. You don't care about global warming. We have to be with people who acknowledge our differences, respect them, but at the same time, we have more things in common than we don't. And like I said, we cannot get to that place if we don't know what we are. Dating isn't 50-50, it's 100-100. And you can't be half of a whole if you don't know what half you are. Because if you don't know what half you are, then the other person gets to be the whole and you disappear. That's not a healthy relationship. It's not a healthy dynamic. So I think Kourtney and Travis have a lot maybe going for them in terms of commonalities, maybe, but time will tell. Because like I said, the novelty of, wow, they're so different wears off in a big way. I've dated people from all walks of life. And I mean, they come in all shapes and sizes and colors and socioeconomic backgrounds and everything. But our four core things, worldview, recreation, sex, and temperament, have always aligned. So the people I date might not look like everybody else that I date, but those four things are in play. And they are in play because I am rock solid on where I stand on those other things. And like I said, it's not about rigidity. It's about knowing at least the very basics of who you are, how you move through the world, and what you want. I want to know your experience with opposites and attraction. Do you think Travis and Kourtney are like a match made in heaven? Weird. Still so weird. And tune back in this week. We're going to be doing our Shall Literature Book Club breakdown of Jessica Simpson's memoir, Open Book. Also come back next week for our movie club selection, Death Becomes Her, which touches on everything from revenge, beauty, friendships, all of that. I'll see you later, Shalligators.